Welcome everyone to this webinar on growing opportunities in the agribusiness sector between Europe and Uzbekistan. My name is Esfandiar Batmagelic. I'm the co-founder of DNA, a consultancy based here where I am right now in Tashkent. I'm filling in for Oybek Shaikov, Secretary General of Euro-Uz. Unfortunately, Oybek has a travel disruption, and so I will be moderating this session. Euro-Uz has kindly brought us together, but I'd also like to thank the Ministry of Agriculture and the Delegation of the European Union to Uzbekistan for their support of this webinar, and also the partners of Euro-Uz, EastCham Finland, JCC Switzerland, AHK Central Asia, the France-Uzbekistan Business Club, and the Association of European Business for their support in bringing together what's a very large and international audience for today's discussion. We will be having a series of two opening remarks from the Ministry of Agriculture and from the European Union perspective before moving into technical discussions, and then two presentations from a business perspective. We will be taking questions if time allows at the end of the session, so I encourage you to put your questions in the Q&A box, which can be found at the bottom of your Zoom screen. But without further ado, I'd like to pass the floor over to His Excellency Minister Aziz Voitov for some welcoming remarks. Minister Voitov, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good afternoon, dear participants. First of all, I am pleased to see the Europe-Uzbekistan Association for Economic Cooperation and all participants of the meeting and aimed at developing relations in the field of agriculture between Uzbekistan and the European Union. Special thanks to Mr. Shaikov for organizing this important event. We are currently witnessing the growing cooperation between Uzbekistan and the European Union in all sectors, especially in agriculture and food sectors. We hope that this meeting will be useful and beneficial for everyone. Uzbekistan's cooperation with European Union countries has become significantly more active in recent years. The introduction of the EU GSP Plus special privileges for Uzbek goods since April 10th, 2021 has been serving as a motivating factor in attracting our country's manufacturers for foreign trade activities and at the same time improving the quality of manufactured products. Maybe later my deputy will give a brief information on the agricultural potential in Uzbekistan. Dear colleagues, taking this opportunity, I would like to tell you that Uzbekistan is interested in the wide expansion of the trade relations with the European Union. So it's necessary to create a network of modern laboratories, standardization and certification centers in Uzbekistan in accordance with the requirements of the European Union to develop the knowledge and potential of our exporters to work in European markets and to conduct activities aimed at increasing the awareness of European companies about the trade opportunities of Uzbekistan. Dear participants, we are grateful that the issue of developing agribusiness in Uzbekistan and increasing the export opportunities of our products to the European market are discussed. Thank you very much and good meeting today. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Voitov. Obviously, the cooperation with the European Union is a big part of upgrading the sector. We'll now hear from Wim Riepma, who is the first counselor and head of cooperation at the Delegation of the European Union in Uzbekistan. Wim, the floor is yours.
Thank you, dear Minister Voitov, ladies and gentlemen online. Hurmatli dostlar, assalamu alaikum. It's a pleasure to be here with you today on behalf of the Delegation of the European Union to Uzbekistan. As the Minister referred to, Uzbekistan is an important agricultural producer here in the region, but definitely has a lot of growth potential to become a global player as well. As regards the European Union itself, we are a very large consumer market, which is of course, of interest to countries outside Europe to be able to export to. At the same time, the European Union is itself a very large agricultural producer and also an exporter. And in that regard, from the delegation, we are looking for a partnership, so a mutual beneficial cooperation in the field of agriculture. In our multi-annual program, we have therefore also indicated agriculture and the agri-food sector as one of the three key priority areas for cooperation with Uzbekistan. We like to work in the long term, and therefore our program runs from 21 to 27, after which we will definitely establish another 7-year plan for cooperation. When we talk about export of products, we also need to think about connectivity. And that's why, as the European Union, we are also currently very much involved in discussions about how to unlock Central Asia, how to bring goods from here towards Europe in particular. And considering the geopolitical situation, we have a lot of emphasis on developing the middle corridor, which means going through the Caspian Sea, through Azerbaijan, Georgia, Turkey, towards Europe. Very recently, the EBRD, the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, has issued a study, a feasibility study on developing this corridor, which will be crucial to exporting goods in large quantities from here, from Uzbekistan to Europe. Also, we work on the WTO accession of Uzbekistan through ITC, who kindly co-organized this meeting today. WTO accession will be another benefit for Uzbekistan in the export potential to Europe. As the Minister already referred to GSP+, I would like to highlight that this scheme of preferences is only granted to 8 countries in the world. And it's really thanks to the ambitions of the President Shavkat Mirziyoyev and his excellent team around him that the country of Uzbekistan has been able to access this scheme, which provides for the possibility to export around 6,200 commodities free of customs duties to the European Union. And this is a real achievement of the country. As part of being member of the scheme, Uzbekistan has signed up to 27 international conventions in the areas of protection of human rights, protection of labor rights, environment protection, and also in the area of public governance. In this regard, I would also like to mention climate change and environment, because the agriculture sector is not only faced with opportunities, but also with challenges, of course. If we talk about water, if we talk about energy, this needs to be taken into consideration. But at the same time, we also strongly believe that the whole green transition will provide opportunities for the agriculture sector itself, but also the supplying industries. If you talk, for example, about drip irrigation, water saving techniques, better use of fertilizers and plant protection products. So taking care of the environment and the climate is not only a challenge, it's not just a cost, it's also a great opportunity, especially if you would like to trade with the demanding European market. While GSP Plus was agreed in 2021, I would like also to mention the great achievement of the year 2022, when Uzbekistan and the European Union signed the so-called Enhanced Partnership and Cooperation Agreement, EPCA. And EPCA will enhance the bilateral relations and international politics, trade, security, and investment between the EU and Uzbekistan. Now, in practical terms, what do we do here as an EU delegation to support the agri-food sector in Uzbekistan? For example, we have been supporting the Plant Protection and Quarantine Agency, which is now part of the Ministry of Agriculture. We provided them grants to help them upgrade, for example, the laboratory, but also to do capacity building of staff. We also have a large ongoing budget support operation, where we provide direct support to the budget of Uzbekistan to support the necessary reforms, in particular in the agriculture sector and public finance management. We also have a project with UNESCO supporting vocational training colleges in the field of agriculture and irrigation. being conscious of the large and talentful labor force of Uzbekistan, all the young people entering the labor market each year. And we are conscious that with the agri-food sector in the picture, we need qualified people there. So that's an important area for us to try to support. Also in relation to companies themselves, we have had several projects supporting mainly small and medium-sized enterprises to help their technical performance, to improve that, but also with a view to exploring and expanding export capacities to European Union. In conclusion, I hope that this online event will provide a good opportunity for the enterprises here in Uzbekistan, but also those in the European Union to connect together and to develop fruitful business relationships. From the EU delegation, we are here to support, of course, and when the time is there, I will be happy to answer any questions. Thank you very much. Katarahma.
Thank you, Wim. I think it's, for the purposes of this webinar, really important to see how the cooperation between the EU and Uzbekistan, between your team at the delegation and the Ministry of Agriculture, is creating a stronger foundation for the commercial opportunities in the sector. You talked about increasing the knowledge base and the skills, the actions to boost productivity, and certainly the logistics capacity in reducing trade barriers. But to understand what that cooperation looks like at a more technical level, we'll now turn to Deputy Minister Umid Mamadaminov, who's going to talk to us a little bit about the current status in the sector and the areas where the Ministry of Agriculture is most active. Deputy Minister, I turn to you. Can you hear us, or have you frozen?
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm just
okay, great.
Here. Okay. Okay, thank you everyone. Thank you for joining this meeting. I'm a Deputy Minister of Agriculture, Umid Mamadaminov. Today we will be discussing about the opportunities in the agriculture industry in Uzbekistan, the agri-food industry. So I would like to introduce you general brief information about Uzbekistan first. You know that agriculture is the main industry in Uzbekistan, which is about nearly 30% of GDP comes from agriculture. And then our population is reaching nearly 40 million people. And then here the GDP growth rate is nearly 6% every year. So which is really attractive economy here in Central Asia. So when we talk about Uzbekistan, you know first we talk about agriculture in the arable land is nearly about a little bit around 4 million hectares, and then we have more potential available land in pasture land, nearly 20 million hectares, which could be used on the future with the modern technologies like irrigation systems, integrating with the irrigation systems and adopt the new lands. And around the 2 million hectare land is the cotton and the wheat, and then others are the fruits and vegetables, other type of crops. And here in Uzbekistan, we have a 4 straight weather, which is we can harvest 2 to 3 times harvest a year, and some of the areas are above about 800-700 meters above sea level, which can be grown special herbs and other types of crops. And then the location of Uzbekistan is located such a way that there's all kinds of lands available for the different types of variety of type of crops. And the growing population here in Uzbekistan, as you know, the population in Uzbekistan growing really fast. So every year we have an import volume increasing. So the last year was a little bit more than $8 billion. Now every year is increasing. It's close to $9 billion this year. And so for the export, we are around $1.3 billion export a year annually. but the potential is much more higher than that. So there's a great opportunity for the agri-food companies to come here and then put the processing lines and then the process the available foods, or the starting integrated projects like starting from planting and then the processing and then packaging export to the European and other countries. So there's a great potential for that. We are using very small portion of this potential. So that's a big opportunity for that. So when we look at the agri-food export outlook here in Uzbekistan, I put here the based on commodities like raisins is the main products which is great, has a great potential in the agricultural food industry here in Uzbekistan. Grapes and the beans. Beans we divide into two parts. Specifically, green mung beans. Last 3-4 years, it's increasing about 20% each year because of high demand for the dry beans. Peanuts, and then there's also specialty products which we call like capers, all the specialty items which will be exported to European market. But those items need to be processed here, needs to be the process to add high value. The main the importing countries are Russia, Kazakhstan, and China is aggressively buying products from agricultural products here. I think that China will surpass a couple of years from now, and they might surpass Kazakhstan and Russia if this pace continues. And yeah, European Union, because we are working on the certification process and then some of the requirements, accredited laboratories trying to open here. So once we do this, the European market will open up the doors. I can give you an example like GSP Plus, which helps us, which also helped us to boost some export potential to European market. So we are also working now the WTO process going on. So all these things will affect our boosting our export to the European market. So I put some items here, potential agricultural commodities, which will be potential for the European market, like we can tell it like capers. Capers are organically growing here in a couple of regions in Uzbekistan. You know, Italy, Spain, they import a lot of quantity. So there is a big opportunity for that industry also. Canned baked beans, this is another topic which France and then other countries, they import a lot from the US. And then here we can establish the packaging company here for that. We can bring like companies, big brands like Mondial, other similar companies. And yeah, dried raisins, dried fruits, and then the nuts. Those are the, you know, the Uzbekistan has a unique soil type which you can grow, and climate and soil where you can grow all types of vegetables, and it makes it delicious. The other potential area is the tomatoes. So there's a couple of companies just slowly starting this, but it's another great opportunity for the European countries start processing the organically dried tomatoes. And freeze-dried products, frozen products are also potential. Vegetables and fruits are also potential. And then I would like to talk a little bit about transportation routes. This is really important for delivering the cargo to the European countries. We have a couple of ways to bring the cargo to there. We can use through the Turkey part, or through the northern area, through Kazakhstan, Armenia, or we can use the port, Georgian ports, Port Poti or Batumi port. There are a couple of ways. We can use the railway and then trucks. Because, you know, Uzbekistan is a second landlocked country in the world. This is a little bit challenging for us to bring the cargo to the international points. Okay, so there are several opportunities in agriculture industry. Because the time is limited, I want to stop by a couple of them. Like livestock industry has a big opportunity here, because the local market and then the neighboring countries also, we need big players here to come here to establish the livestock business here. Poultry also another big potential for the investment here. Feed industry, edible oil. We rely on import on the edible oil, vegetable oils. So there's a big potential for that industry. Dried fruit, vegetables we talked about, and then technologies and machineries in agriculture. Also, we have a big opportunity for those companies who want to enter the market. And smart farming is another industry, which is we are now digitalizing our agriculture. So this is another opportunity for this. Financing in agriculture and insurance, this is another topic we can talk in hours and hours about these topics. So I put here like generalized about the fruits and vegetables area. So the companies can come and create an integrated the companies here. They can start business there starting from planting to processing and creating the agriculture cooperatives and then bringing it to the European markets. As I mentioned, like dry beans and lentils, also another booming. It's increasing. Demand is really increasing in the world, which is and the processing of these items also is a big market, like the making the mung bean idol. This is another topic which is now the hot topic in the international business. Well, let me know if you have any questions in the agriculture industry. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Deputy Minister. Just so that all the participants are aware, the presentations will be shared after by email, and they'll be available on the website after the webinar. So you will have that great resource. We now turn to Alisher Shukurov, who is an advisor at the Ministry of Agriculture. Alisher, I have had the pleasure of meeting a couple times. He is working on the ground, implementing projects where they're upgrading the skills and capacity in the sector, in many cases because of with the support of funding provided from the EU and other international partners. Alisher, we turn to you to hear a little bit more about how exactly the sector is going to get above those barriers so that we can hopefully grow the trade with the EU from more than around $30 million US.
Thank you. Indeed, this is a really great event to share our vision, and also not always we meet with the agribusiness. Of course, we're having meetings in some bilateral events, but it is indeed really good to have this meeting in the perspective of strengthening the partnership with the EU countries and Uzbekistan. So when we speak about agriculture, now Mr. Madaminov, he mentioned, he demonstrated the potential of the sector more in the perspective of the business perspective, as well as his also own experience, capacity from the private sector. I think this was very interesting. Now I would like to share also, as you mentioned, some of our experience. First of all, I would like to focus a little bit on the policy side. So how we see to boost the agribusiness in Uzbekistan, and also opening the opportunities with the European countries, with the EU market. So speaking about the policy, most of you participants, you may know, but if you don't know that we're proud that we have now very strong now strategic vision that is coming approved. We have a new vision, agriculture development strategy until 2030. And we're extremely happy that this strategy, we developed it together with the EU delegation. Now our partners also participating here, also other partners, but we had the strong participation from the EU experts, and I think a lot of proposals were taken into account. And one of the significant focus in this strategy is really focusing for the market-based development in agri-food sector, because we know we suffered very long time the centrally managed sector, focusing for the cotton and wheat sector particularly, And now new strategy really giving us the opportunity and guiding us to shift to the market-based approach, particularly shifting from the cotton and the wheat monoculture to the diversified other subsectors development. But specifically also when we focus for the cotton and wheat sector, we are shifting to this sector to the market-based approach. And now private sector really leading the also cotton and wheat sector in the country. And when we speak about the diversification, now Mr. Mohammadin also mentioned that there are so many subsectors are becoming quite active and important to support the farmers, producers, particularly also smallholders in the country. We see the really big demand from the European market for having the Uzbek products in the EU. For the EU consumers. And as earlier mentioned also, when we speak about the certification system, now we are really working in this area quite significantly. And here we see that the number of producers having the global gap certification significantly increased. It is now, I don't want to give the numbers, but it is now significantly increased. And now we have also organic production nation legislation approved by the government that we are promoting the organic production in the country. And for these commodities, we know that there is a huge demand from the European consumers. And now here, I also would like to a little bit mention about the land reform. When we would like to speak with the agribusiness, particularly in Uzbekistan, always first question comes, what about the land? What is the ownership about the land? What is the land security? We know, we recognize the challenges, we recognize the issues in the land-related relations. However, government is really putting high priority to reform the land sector. And we have, as an initial stage, we have introduced the auction system. Now we have a transparent system that people can apply for accessing to the land. But particularly for the agribusiness, we have also special conditions. It is based on the investments value that they can really access to the land. And here, I would like to mention that Mr. Mohammadin also mentioned about the laboratory systems. When we would like to improve our products quality, it's significantly important that we should have a proper recognized laboratory systems. And would like to also thank here, taking in this opportunity, that we had a really good partnership with EU delegation to support the horticulture development sector. And the first laboratory systems in the scientific research institutions started to really invest, and it is there now started to operate the laboratories. And now we're going to really getting the international accreditation for these laboratories. I think these are the first steps that we are really boosting the agri-food sector. And maybe I have, I think, 2-3 minutes more. I would like to, the last but not least, I would like to highlight about the financing. If we see the last years, last 5-6 years, the financing, I would like to here focus only the international financial institutions financing. It reached to nearly $3 billion to the agri-food sector, including water sector. And currently, $2 billion international financial institutions financing is actively now ongoing to the horticulture sector, to the modernization of the agriculture, to the livestock sector, and it is coming mainly from the World Bank, Asian Development Bank, International Fund for Agricultural Development, JICA, and many others. And here also EU strongly supporting with the technical assistance program, including the budget support to the agri-food sector. And here I would like to mention also specifically latest our a partnership we established with some EU leading banks, particularly from Germany. We had now a first agreement with KfW Bank to support the small and medium-sized entrepreneurship in the agri-food sector. And now second phase also now ongoing. As well as we have also very good projects Mr. Mamadev was the leading that project to support the water sector, to introducing the water saving technologies with the participation of one of the European bank, UniCredit Bank. And here also the company, the Bauer company from Austria is actively participating. And now, recently, our president's visit to Italy. So we had also communication with some commercial banks, particularly the government-supported banks, such and etc. I am giving these as an example. I don't want to. I think maybe if I couldn't mention some of them, but I would like to highlight that now the opportunity now that really in the international financial institutions sector, now we are expanding our partnership with a number of European banks who have interest working with us in Uzbekistan. I think this is one of the really kind of emerging area. I would really encourage, if there is any interest to work directly investing from the bank sector, our ministry also now really open and to in this area to work together. So I know time is very limited, but I would be happy to share. There will be any questions related with the policy, financing, and a number of other issues. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Alisher. We do actually have a question that I want to come back to you on, but we'll continue with the presentations and get to the questions at the end. A reminder for everyone, if you do have questions, please submit them through the Q&A at the bottom of your screen. I think that's been an excellent introduction into how the policy work, and particularly the significant funding that's being provided by international donors to support technical assistance programs, is creating an environment that's more conducive to the success of commercial enterprises in the agri-food sector. We're lucky to have Sardor Abbasxanov here, who is one of the co-founders of Global Export, a company that is successfully exporting a growing quantity of various agricultural products from Uzbekistan to the European Union. Sardor, we turn to you to hear a little bit about how you've managed to get over some of those hurdles in certification, finding a good, reliable logistics chain, and getting a good product fit for what Wim, I think correctly called the demanding European consumer, a consumer with high standards. So tell us a little bit more about how you're getting your products onto tables in Europe. Sardor, we can't hear you very clearly. Might be your microphone. Unfortunately, not yet. Yeah, let's. Any luck?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now. Go ahead. Actually, Sardor, yeah.
Can you hear me? No?
We can hear you. Your image is frozen. Do you need a moment to check your connection? Sardor, why don't you take a moment and see if you can get your connection to work. In the meantime, Mirgulov, can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you well.
Okay, great. Doing well. Mirgulov Usmanov is the CEO of BMB Trade, another company that's exporting from Uzbekistan to Europe. Mirgulov, maybe we can start with you while Sardor checks his connection. Maybe tell us a little bit more about, from the standpoint of a business, how are you looking at these developments in the agri-food sector, and how are you making inroads in the European market?
Thank you very much, dear Isfandiar. I would like to make some correction. I'm not CEO, I'm first deputy of CEO.
Understood. And, thank you for the correction.
Okay. If you let me, I would like to share my screen in order to start with presentation. 1 second. So can you see my screen? I don't hear you.
I can see it. Oh.
Yes, we can
Okay,
see it.
great. Great, thank you very much. First of all, I would like to thank Mr. Oybek Shaykhov and his great team for organizing such webinar, because I guess especially now it's something which is in high demand for the collaboration in agri-industry, in agri-sector between Uzbekistan and Central Asia with the countries of European Union. And at the same time, I would like to thank all the participants for this occasion. And let me present myself again, Mirgulam Usmanov, the first Deputy CEO of the group of companies BMB. Here we go. Okay, BMB Trade Group is a group of companies, and our main area of business is agriculture, but the controlling company, BMB Trade Group, is the company which has an activity of attracting foreign investments and giving consultancy services to the foreign companies in order to have business in Uzbekistan. So we till now have supervised more than hundreds of projects of more than 700-800 of foreign companies during the last 6-7 years. And as I told before, our main area is agro sector, and we have different companies. Till now, we could establish 28 companies, 5 of which are joint ventures, the rest are subsidiary companies. And we could attract for this kind of different projects more than $1.5 billion. And we have different areas of business. So because of this, here is the list of different our companies, starting with BMB Agro Trade, then logistics, export, import. So all these our companies are established in order to have the cycle of the agro business, starting with the cultivation, then processing, then exporting. So everything which is around this business. And today I would like to talk about our main project, one of the projects which are well known not only in Uzbekistan but between countries of European Union, because in 2020 we have established the joint venture BMB Opera Zafferano with our Italian partners Finopera, and the whole project was for the amount of investment around 80 million euros, which will be done till the end of 2026. Until now, we could attract to Uzbekistan for this project around 38 million euros. And we now have the saffron plantation more than 300 hectares, where we cultivate annually more than 2-3 tons of saffron that we export to different countries of the world, starting with the Arabic countries, European countries. Also, we have started to work with the United States and so on. Also, if we think about the eastern part of the world, we're working also with Korea, we are working with China and so on. And here, at the same time, in order to make this project in a high level, because as you could pay attention also, our colleagues from the ministry, they also paid attention, and they also mentioned that in Uzbekistan, if we have worked in agro-industry before and we made attention to the quantity, now all the entrepreneurs in this industry are paying attention to the quality. So because of this, we have invited to Uzbekistan specialists and professors from different universities of Italy, like Politecnico di Milano, Università di Piacenza, Università di Calabria. So this kind of university professors are controlling each step of the project. So because of this, we have the highest quality saffron. And every year we do the laboratory analysis in different European laboratories. And by the quality, our saffron is the highest quality, so first category. So because of this, in Italy, we are working also on the diversification of the products production. So, and at the same time, we are doing also marketing in the European countries. And for that reason, we have created our brand Oro Rosso Milano for our joint venture in Italy, and which is the official sponsor of Italian football clubs Milan and Monza. At the same time, in Uzbekistan, sponsor of Professional Football League of Uzbekistan. So as you can see also in these photos, we are paying attention also to football. This is marketing, but at the same time, this project is creating more than 40,000 seasonal working places in Uzbekistan. So it's also a social project. And by working also with the football clubs, developed European well-known football clubs, we are bringing also to Uzbekistan this experience. And by this way, this project has also a social side of the social benefits. And now this our product is somehow like the main visiting card of Uzbekistan, because when lots of presidents are visiting Uzbekistan, we are presenting this product, because as also in the statistics of the ministry, you could pay attention. Now also our president is making attention in order to expand the lands where there are cultivations of the products with high added value. So because of this, saffron is also that type of product. So because of this, we are expanding and going to reach 2,000 hectares of the territory, and to reach the production of saffron annual production of 20 tons. So because of this, because of the working places, because of the social sides of this project, our president also likes our product, likes our project. Also, as you know, it was the mission of our president to Italy last week, and we have demonstrated to our respected president and all the delegation of Italian business delegation, our products, which are more than 20 types of the products which were produced by saffron. And it was also very exciting moment, because the added value was very high. So because of this, this is one project that can be somehow an example for European entrepreneurs to come to Uzbekistan to invest for the agro industry, and to have the products which will be enough competitive in the world market. So as I told you, as I explained before, our goals for the future, because I would like to present the goals for the future, because we are working on this project 3 years and our results are really good. So because of this, in the coming 2-3 years, we are going to reach 2,000 hectares and to have the productions of 20 tons, to invest to this project, totally 80 million euro for indirect investments, and the 90% of these products we are going to export, and to do also processing in order to produce high added value products. At the same time, I would like to show you the video about all these projects. Please. All the saffron bulbs that we have cultivated were imported from Italy. So as you can see, thousands of people are working on the field. And it's totally organic product, because we don't have any fertilizers. imported products which are also selling in duty-free shops of Italy. At the same time, I would like to thank again for organizing this webinar. And at the end of my presentation, I would like say some words about the reforms which are going on in Uzbekistan, because for this project, we have done one decree of president and one decree of government with the help of Ministry of Agriculture and the Ministry of Investments. So because of this, we were free of custom fee for the importing of saffron bulbs for the machines that are used for the processing of our products. And besides that, we also paid VAT taxes for the importing of the bulbs during a year. So the government now is supporting all these kind of investment projects in the first 3 years, 5 years, depending on the project. And because of these projects are developing really fast, and we are entering also to the market of European Union, to the market of United States, and so on. So because of this, I as an entrepreneur, as a young entrepreneur, I can say one thing, that now agro-industry is developing really fast, and the government is doing everything in order to support entrepreneurs, especially foreign entrepreneurs. So if you are also interested in collaboration with our company, also regarding the project, I would like to kindly ask to contact our colleagues from the Euro-Uz. So we are open to supervise your projects, to collaborate in all types of possible ways. Thank you very much again. For any questions, we're open. Thank you.
Thank you, Mir Ghulam. As I'm sure many of the attendees in this webinar know, one of the delicacies of Milan is risotto alla milanese, which is made with saffron and it has this distinctive yellow color. Now we know that next time we're in Milan, we may be having Uzbek saffron with our risotto, which is quite exciting.
You can visit the restaurant Cracco in Galleria Vittorio Emanuele. So he is using our saffron for his risotto milanese, which is #1 in Milan.
Amazing. Sardor, turning to you, I hope that the technical issues were solved. We've heard a lot about how saffron's being exported to Europe, but your company is exporting a broader range of goods. So tell us a little bit about what your experience has been. And I think to Mir Ghulam's point, it does sound like there is an improved business environment, especially for Uzbek exporters. We'd be interested to know if you concur with that. And then we'll leave the last 15-20 minutes for a few questions from the audience.
Hi, Sandiar. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, great. Once again, good afternoon, everyone, dear ladies and gentlemen. I do apologize for technical issues. First of all, before beginning my presentation, I would like to thank organizers of this webinar because that's very important issue, very important job for doing, promoting Uzbek agricultural products in European community, establishing a partnership relationship with Uzbek and European companies. That's very important. I'll tell you why, because the agriculture plays a crucial role in economy of Uzbekistan, not only because of its share in GDP, but in terms of employment. This is the biggest sector which employs the people. In agricultural sector, more than 10 million of Uzbekistan population directly or indirectly benefits from this sector. That's why it's very important. Unfortunately, I don't know, or fortunately, historically and geographically, we are very highly related with our CIS countries in terms of selling markets, especially Russian markets. Another big neighbor of region, now Deputy Minister told us that China is coming up. In one term, it's good. It's good when you have a good big market, but you have another part of the hand. Such kind of countries, they try to use these issues when they need it. Or another issue is that they have a low or middle requirements for entering the market. So our producers, they don't work on themselves. They don't care about certification, processing, and so on. We have to rely. And the last issue, the last geopolitical situation, which showed us in war in Ukraine, showed us that it's very tricky, it's very risky to have one big market for selling agricultural products. So we faced a lot of issues in terms of selling, in terms of logistics. That's why our priority, not only of the country, but also our company, is to increase, diversify our export to other markets, especially European Union. Our company was established in 2017, soon after our new president took office and announced the economic reforms. And then since that, our company became the biggest exporter of pulses and dry fruits in Uzbekistan. We annually export more than $25 million to 40 countries of the world, including 18 countries of European Union. Our biggest partners is like Lenners and Portman, which is 200 years old company in Netherlands. So we are the biggest, but unfortunately there are only few companies which has full certification or experience, history, and good reputation of working with the European companies. There is a company, and I just want to turn how we came to that point. Of course, it's hard. Oh, sorry, I didn't share my presentation. Sorry, I apologize. So how we come to this point? First of all, all our processing facilities are certified for highest food safety standard, FSSC 22000. And they are not only certified, we really implemented these standards. And the certification proves with the leading inspection bodies, such as Bureau Veritas, SGS, and TÜV. All these companies are certified, verified that in our processing factories, all are certified for FSSC 22000. Another thing is we are focusing on producing organic products, because as the minister officials already mentioned, this is our priority, one of the priority directions. We don't have much land, and Uzbekistan faces the water issues year. It's difficult. So now we have to think about water saving crops and increasing the value added in products. For last year, we experimented and made a 1,000 hectare grown green mung bean, organic green mung bean, and successfully exported to European Union. Like first and only company in Uzbekistan, we did so, and that's it's good feedback. We had a good feedback from our companies, partners. Now we are planning to increase the number of crops, variety of crops, and the quantities, of course. Презентация. I would like to.
Sardar, we'll also share the presentations afterward.
Yeah, okay, great. Then I won't stop. Yeah, I won't stop for the presentation.
We can see it.
Continue.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
So yeah, I spoke of most of the some part of my presentation was a statistic, which is already minister officials told about the exporting increasing. In terms of dry fruit, we are our exporting product is raisins, dried apricot, and dried prunes. I should. Taking this advantage, I would like to thank for European Union organizations and countries, governments for supporting Uzbekistan agricultural producers and exporters. How? I just want to show in two samples, two projects. One project financed by European Commission for agricultural marketing. It names marketing and agriculture. Another name is Shirin Meva. For this project is ending this year. For last 4 years, we have been receiving updated useful marketing information, statistics, market researches, and the market requirements. So it was very helpful. So this project ends and another project starts, which is financed by Swiss government and managed by International Trade Center, which is supporting dry fruit producers and exporters of Uzbekistan. So we are making, within this project, we are planning to create association of dry fruit processors and exporters of Uzbekistan. They already brought very good experts from South Africa who is training not only the processors, but also planning to train the farmers how to correctly collect, make the drying process. So in terms of get higher profit and higher quality, most issue. So that kind of projects helps us a lot to increase. Of course, we have good successful results, but we are not stopping on that. We are working on. We are trying to do better results. I'm sure that soon our results will be more significant, more successful. Even in dry fruit, we will implement organic production, and quality of Uzbek agriculture products will be well known throughout Europe. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Sardar. And the presentations will be distributed. You ended on an excellent point, because one of the questions that we've gotten from the audience, and there are a few questions we'll discuss with the panelists, touches on the need for more sustainable agriculture. And Wim, I wonder if we can come to you, because my understanding is that the cooperation between the European Union and Uzbekistan in the field of agriculture is also informed by the EU's own Green New Deal and Farm to Fork strategy, and its own commitments within among EU agricultural producers to increase the sustainability of their production. Can you tell us a little bit more about how the EU is making sure that better water management and other sustainability practices are part of the technical assistance that you're doing with Uzbekistan?
Yeah, thank you indeed. The green transition, as we call it, is the second priority area of our multi-annual cooperation program. And under the so-called green transition, we work in the fields of water, including irrigation, for example, together with the World Bank. We work on energy. Incidentally, energy used for pumping up water is very big. It has been a large budget item actually on the Ministry of Agriculture, and they're working hard to replace those diesel or petrol pumps with solar panels to pump up the water in a more sustainable way. And then there is work ongoing on making the irrigation system more efficient. But I read a comment in the comment box indeed that there is a lot of work yet to be done with the heritage system which is there. But from the EU perspective, together with the international financial partners and consultancies, but also through our technical assistance, we are ready to help. Another point I would like to mention, this is also in the comment boxes on land reform and privatization, that there is, in our view, also still some headway to make. On land reform, we do not necessarily advocate that all land needs to be privatized, but indeed there is an issue with the protection of tenants' rights. So how long can a tenant actually stay on the land? The land tenure needs to be more secure, I think, to attract investment. Another issue I would like to mention is crop placement. Where to a certain extent crop placements requirements are still in place for areas, in particular related to cotton and wheat. But we are in a very constructive policy dialogue, as we call it, with the ministry, together with the Strategic Reforms Agency, on how a land reform could look like, and what in our view would be needed for improving the investment climate. As a delegation, we do talk to potential investors in Uzbekistan from the European Union, and they all raise these concerns about land rights, about crop placement issues. Other issues we also look at, for example, are the rule of law, which is another concern. of many investors in this country. But we definitely see the willingness from the government in having this dialogue with us, and I'm sure also with other development partners. But I'm sure the Deputy Minister wants to come in. I see him moving already, so I stop here and back to you.
Thank you, Wim. Deputy Minister Mamadaminov, is there anything you'd like to add on that point?
I just was looking some questions here. Yeah, what was the question here?
So well, I think building on Wim's comments, there's another question that I think it would be very good to have you weigh in on. One of our participants has asked about the capacity to actually implement the policies that are being reformed in part through dialogue with the European Union. It seems that in the experience of this individual, one of the challenges is that there's lots of funding, lots of very clear imperatives for where reforms can be made, where improvements can be made in, for example, productivity or in the area of knowledge transfer, but that in order to do that, your ministry needs a lot of capacity. And so the question is, do you feel that you have the capacity in your within the Uzbek government to actually implement these projects, especially projects that are happening in the regions, in the field around the country? Deputy Minister, go ahead.
That's a really good question. In fact, that the ministry is working on that, and I will pass this question to the Mr. Shukurov, since he's working with the IFIs, institutions, funds. Mr. Shukurov?
Yes. I think this is one of the really important question at the same time, and the challenging question. Capacity issue. I was discussing with my colleague that 2023, this year, I'm working in the ministry, in the sector, 20 years. I started my work in the Ministry of Agriculture and Water Resources 2003, and today, 2023, 20 years, I'm trying to compare. Capacity issue was always challenging. It was before, it was today, and specifically now the question is really important. Why, when we're doing so much massive reforms, as well as we're now attracting the projects and programs strategic programs and projects we're implementing in this period, we feel the capacity is the most important issue that we have to address. And of course, it takes time, but what we are doing specifically. First of all, we launched the new program called Agriculture Knowledge and Innovation System. This is the system. This is not a project. This is the system addressing the capacities of the sector, not only ministry. When we speak about the capacity, we feel the lack of capacity also in the agri-food producers, because we need a new knowledge and innovations to the sector, to the farmers, to the producers. But at the same time, for the implementation of the projects and for reforming the sector, for bringing the new knowledge and innovations, also requires the capacity at the governance level. It means it could be included the ministries, agencies, and different other sectors. And one of the focus for the agriculture knowledge innovation system is the training, first of all, education and the training. So continuous education and the training is the significant part of our current Ministry of Agriculture's focus. And here, I also would like to highlight one of the important initiatives the last year Uzbekistan launched, which this is I would say, the institutional arrangement that we established new International Agriculture University, together with the UK Royal Agriculture University. This is also one step that we launched that to prepare the qualified experts, the staff or people for the sector, including for the Ministry of Agriculture. And for this year's another program, I would like to highlight that now in September, taking this opportunity, I would like to also announce that we are we are introducing the National Training Center for the agriculture, Ministry of Agriculture staff that to provide the trainings on the managerial skills. So this is another step now we launch it. And the last but not least, as earlier we mentioned about the EU budget support program. So EU budget support program and also other EU funded projects. Also additionally, with number of projects we're implementing with our partners there to provide the capacity building activities for the sector. It includes specific technical capacity building activities on specific areas such as IPM, integrated pest management related trainings, such as we also provide the trainings on global gap, good agriculture practice trainings, specifically for the staff of the ministry and its institutions. So it is very wide range and comprehensive. So these activities are really ongoing. But I don't want to say that with all that efforts, we have a perfect capacity and everything is good. We need to improve, we need to work on the capacity development and strengthening the capacity of the ministry and its system continuously. In this regard, I would be really happy also private sector's agribusiness participation, because recently we had also really good in the framework of the Tashkent International Business Investment Forum that the private sector also keen to participate on the capacity building programs for the government staff. So with this, we would be really happy and open, really, if there are any proposals, activities, ministry really welcomes and works together on this area. Thank you.
Thank you, Alisher. I think that was exactly what I was going to ask, which is, what is the role for the private sector in boosting capacity? It's one thing to boost capacity on the policy side, but we also need to boost capacity and productivity among the farmers. I'd like to turn to Sardor and Mirgulam to comment on this. Sardor, Mirgulam, at the end of the day, the agri-food sector in Uzbekistan remains pretty unconsolidated. It's a lot of smallholder farmers, and you're sourcing from lots and lots of farmers to get the volumes that you need in different types of produce. Can you tell us a little bit about how you're working with farmers to get them to think more about export potential or to think more about upgrading their capacity, maybe changing their varieties of produce or achieving certification so that they can actually produce something that you can then take to more countries around the world? How does that process work for you? Let's start with Sardor and then turn to Mirgulam.
Thank you, Spandior. You're raising a very important, crucial issue, which we are facing now. I think is one of the important points. I just want to give you the opinion of the expert who was invited from South Africa by the project which I told you. He explained that doesn't matter what kind of processing facility you set up. You may set up the best equipment from the best producer, but if you don't set the good harvesting, good growing process, if you don't train farmers how to correct the process, then you can't get good products. Now we are working on that. As an example, it is possible. Of course, it is hard work. We need to work quite a lot, but it is possible. And one of the issues is train and stimulate the farmers that they will get more, financially more benefit. That's a good example of organic mung beans, which we grow in Samarkand and Kashkadarya regions. So what we did, we train the farmers not to use chemicals and pesticides, chemical fertilizer and pesticides. They did so, and we bought it for 30% higher than average the normal mung beans. So they benefited. The production didn't drop much, but the price is increased higher. And now for this year, they're calling us and, oh guys, are you ready? Yes, we are ready. Come on. This year we're also going to do the organic mung beans. That's one way. Second, for European market is one of the priority probably will be dry fruit. Why? Because for fresh we have quite difficult logistics, but dry we have a good opportunity to increase. For dry fruit, one of the main issue is that drying. For drying, we use not the best crop, but the second grade crops. So what an expert was told, we need to use the best crop to teach farmers that if they will use best crop for dried product will be the better and the price will be higher. For just one example, dried prunes. We export our prunes average price is $2.2 per kg, and the moisture level is 20%, 22% maximum. While Chile supplies to Europe prunes for $4 with a moisture level 30-35 degree percentage. Can you imagine? That's technology. So they've been using. So now we're planning to visit Chile to see how the crops are going, how they communicate the process, and the growers, how they do communication, how they set up. So one of the steps of this is the association. So now the dry fruit processing companies, we are unifying, trying to make some rules and set up the relation with farmers. And of course, we need the support. Thank you for the ministry. Thank you for the international development agencies for supporting in these terms. That's a right way to support the development of agriculture. Thank you.
Thank you, Sardar. Mir Ghulam, let's turn to you briefly if there's anything you want to add, and then there's one final question I'll give to Alisher, and then we will close out. So Mir Ghulam, anything to add on building capacity from a private sector perspective?
Yeah, thank you very much. At the same time, I 100% support the idea which was announced by Mr. Abbashanov, because anyway, in order to have the final product with high quality, you have to control all the cycles. So because of this, as I mentioned before, now in Uzbekistan, in between our companies, we have also our agro cluster. For example, this year we are doing cultivation on more than 10,000 hectares of territory. So we are working with more than 110, 105 farmers. And in order to control the quality of the final product, we are supplying them with the crops, with the everything they need, fuel for the machines, everything. So also we have our specialists who are responsible for each district with the farmers and so on. So they are controlling every step every day, so they can do the monitoring of the cultivation, then the harvesting, and then we have also our facilities for the processing with the refrigerators with the capacity of more than 10,000 tons. So because of this, all these products that farmers will cultivate under our control, that we do by ourselves and so on, we will collect it by ourselves. We do the sorting by ourselves, and also deep processing facilities that we have. So because of this, the main thing in having a top quality product, as Mr. Abbashanov said, you have to control each step, starting from the choosing of the crops that you will use for the cultivation. So because of this, we work with Netherlands, we work with Italy for the crops. Besides that, we always invite specialists from different countries. For the irrigation system, we have invited from Israel, for example, from Turkey. Now we're also working with the specialists from Japan, who are enhancing the quality and the production capacity of the soil. So they have studied here. Now we have sent our specialists, also farmers, to Japan. Now they are, learning how to do that also with their experience. So because of this, the most important thing, the first thing, you have to control each step. And the second thing, these are also not only my words as an entrepreneur, but also the words of our respected president. He also mentioned this. If you want to have the successful business have to come together with science. So because of this, we are also trying to find the application of science in each steps. Also with the shortage of the water, irrigation problems, you do not need, if you are doing the cultivation and the agro business in a high scale, you should have your pumping stations, your irrigation systems. So because of this, now entrepreneurs in Uzbekistan are investing really big amounts of means in order to have good machines, really how to say, high quality machines from Germany, from Japan, from Israel, also this kind of irrigation systems, I mean, processing. So each step you have to control because it can have its influence to the final product. And at the same time, the certification questions, because if you are controlling all this, you can be sure when you are applying for any agency in order to get certification. So because of this,
get the certification. Yeah.
Yeah, because of this, thank you very much. I understand the time limit, but anyway, if there are some questions, I have shared also our contact. So we're always open in order to share what we have. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Obviously, the private sector is taking some responsibility for this capacity building, which is excellent. Alisher, a final question for you, maybe with a 1-minute answer. We've been talking a lot about growing different crops. We have not talked so much about livestock and the dairy industry. We have a question from someone in the audience about what steps are being taken there. I know that the ministry has a livestock development project that was also supported in part by the European Union. Can you tell us about that very briefly before we close out?
Thank you for this question. Indeed, this is one of the really important questions also, and because livestock sector is almost 50% of GDP is coming in the agri-food sector. If we see the almost 50% is coming from the livestock sector. And when we see that we have in the sector different challenges. First of all, we have to recognize the challenges. In terms of climate change, of course, livestock sector is the one of the contributors to the climate change that we need to really address. On this, we're working, of course. And speaking about the investments and projects, sure, we have investment from multiple partners. I have to highlight the World Bank one. We have a livestock development project with World Bank, and EU doing the significant support on the capacity development in terms of improving the research capacity in the laboratory systems and other facilities around the livestock. And we have recently approved project by French Development Agency. So also focusing for the livestock, particularly focusing for the small-scale livestock production in the country, because almost 80% of the livestock products coming from the small scale. This is also important that now we are focusing on this. Again, EU providing the technical assistance on this sector. And we have I would say last but not least, in the livestock sector, we have also particularly the question was the dairy sector, the milk sector development. It is support also from the International Fund for Agriculture Development, IFAD, also providing to this sector. And now we're about to approve the second phase of the project. So massive funds and the projects are there. However, we also feel the challenge also there, because please understand that we are importing meat still. We have challenge for the livestock feeds. And also, we have also challenge with the pasture management, because we need to provide also good, condition for the livestock. These are the challenges which we need to address. And here we believe that the message is that there is a big room for the agribusiness to work together on the livestock sector. When we speak about the livestock sector, it also includes the fish development, it also includes the poultry development. These areas also kind of as a kind of part of the subsector of the livestock. So we would be happy to really further discuss on this topic in our ministry anytime.
Thank you, Alishir. I'm glad we could touch on that because it's half the agri-food sector and it deserves further discussion. I want to thank all of our speakers for their excellent contributions. On behalf of Euro-Uz, I'd like to also say that for all the participants, Euro-Uz is available as a resource to facilitate further conversations with some of the stakeholders you've heard from today and with other actors in Uzbekistan's exciting agri-food sector. I think we've seen very clearly that the cooperation at a policy level between the European Union and the Ministry of Agriculture of Uzbekistan is creating an environment where companies like Global Export, BMB, and their peers can really begin to make inroads, doing trade that has never been done before, and also building capacity among farmers in Uzbekistan so that they can generally be more productive and more profitable. It's an exciting period. Thank you all for staying for this webinar, and we hope to continue the dialogue in other formats in the future. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Bye.